Hi guys! So this is a video created just for you to help you with hypothetical situations in the present. Okay? The aims of the lesson are to check the answers to the language focus, to help with meaning, pronunciation, and how to form sentences for hypothetical situations in the present, and to give you an opportunity to prepare any questions you have before lesson 5 on Zoom. Okay? My name is Catherine, and I'm one of the teachers teaching upper intermediate this term. Okay, so let's get started. So before the lesson, before this video, in fact, you should have already completed this worksheet here. Okay, so you can find it in the folders. If you haven't done this already, you should complete this before watching the rest of this video. Okay, you can find it in the folders on Edmodo. Now, assuming you have finished this worksheet, let's go through the answers. Okay, so list 5 phrases used to introduce imaginary situations. Okay, so we have suppose that, if only, what if, and imagine that or imagine if. So, suppose that men could give birth just like women. How would the world change? This is an imaginary situation. This isn't real, okay? Men can't give birth just like women, okay? That would be quite strange. So this person is hypothesizing. Okay, they're imagining. All right, so they used suppose that. All right, so if only, what if, imagine that, imagine if. These are all further examples of how to introduce imaginary situations. All right, so let's look at more of the answers for the language focus. So are the people here imagining situations in past, present, or future? Let's see. People here are imagining situations in the... let's have a look. Suppose that men could give birth to just like women. How would the world change? Past, present, or future? It's present and future. Okay. So men can't give birth just like women, but we're imagining that they could now and in the future. Okay? What if we had the power to read each other's thoughts? How would life be different? So we're thinking about how would life be different now and in the future. The verb form used after the phrases to describe imaginary situations is, let's see, could, was, had, found, thought, was, let's see, past simple. Okay, so even though the meaning is in the present and the future, the verb form is in the past. It's a bit weird, but this is English. All right, the verb form used to discuss the imaginary consequences of the imaginary situation is, can we guess? Past simple as well. Okay, really easy. Super easy. Past simple, okay? So let's have a closer look at this. Okay, let's look at some tips. With hypothetical situations in the present or future, we go back 1/10 into the past. So for example, let's have a look. What if we had the power to read each other's thoughts? How would life be different? So what if we had the power? So we're talking about the present, but we use one back. That's past simple, had. Okay. After if, in the main clause, we usually use would or other modal verbs. So let's look back at our example. What if we had the power to read each other's thoughts? How would life be different? Okay. we'd get a few shocks. What would the effects be? Okay, that's us usually using would. We can use were with first and third person. Okay, if I were you, I would apologize to your boss. If you were a bird, which bird would you be? Okay, so now let's have a look at some pronunciation. Okay, so as always, we emphasize or stress the important words for meaning. So words like auxiliary verbs or conjunctions, they're not helpful for meaning. Words like and or but, they don't help with meaning. So the words with the stress, the dots, they help with meaning. Suppose that, so my emphasis is on suppose. Suppose that men could give birth just like women. Okay, so the stress is on the important words. Suppose that men could give birth just like women. Suppose that men could give birth just like women. And the intonation goes down, just like this arrow, okay? How would the world change? So even though would is one of the things we change about the sentence, it's one of the things we do with hypothetical situations, it's not stressed because it doesn't really help meaning. Okay, so it's important that we understand how and why it's being used, okay, but we don't stress it when we speak. How would the world change? How would the world change? Okay, how would the world change? Suppose that men could give birth just like women. How would the world change? Okay, everyone, you can, when you're listening, you can repeat after me. Suppose that men could give birth just like women. Suppose that men could give birth just like women. How would the world change? How would the world change? Okay, good. So let's look at the next one. What if we had the power to read each other's thoughts? What if we had the power to read each other's thoughts? So again, even though had is one of the more the words that changes for hypothetical situations, it's not one of the important words, okay? What if we had the power to read each other's thoughts? How would life be different? How would life be different? Okay, you can repeat after me. How would life be different? Okay, good. So, last one. If we found out what our friends really thought of us, we'd get a few shocks. If we found out what our friends really thought of us, we'd get a few shocks. Okay, so let's start backwards. Get a few shocks. Get a few shocks. We'd get a few shocks. So make sure you're using the contraction, okay? Not we would. We'd. We'd. We'd get a few shocks. If we found out. If we found out what our friends really thought of us, what our friends really thought of us. So thought, it's a really big, important, stressed word, okay? Thought of us. If we found out what our friends really thought of us, we'd get a few shocks. Okay, so I hope that has helped you, and you can try on your own to help to pronounce these sentences. I'll say them and you can pause and restart the video anytime you like, okay? Suppose that men could give birth just like women. How would the world change? Lol. If only this was true. I guess a painless way of giving birth would be invented pretty quickly, wouldn't it? What if we had the power to read each other's thoughts? How would life be different? If we found out what our friends really thought of us, we'd get a few shocks. Imagine that a harmless drug was invented so that we no longer needed to sleep. What would the effects be? I think this would be horrible. I wouldn't be able to spend all those hours under. I think this would be horrible. I wouldn't be able to spend all those hours under my lovely duvet. Alright, so I hope you found this video useful. I want you to check back over this sheet, rewatch the video as many times as you want, and make sure you have some questions to ask your teacher during the Zoom session for lesson 5. Okay, I've enjoyed making this video and I hope you've enjoyed it too. Please give some feedback to your teacher. This is the first video I've tried to make, so let me know what you think. Let your teacher know what you think, and hopefully we can make more videos to help you. All right, bye.